welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that just got done with a vigorous motorcycle fight. It's Erik Hoffmeyer.
It was very vigorous and very fast. Good thing Ilsa Faust was not chasing me.
Yeah, I love the motorcycle antics in this movie. In the second one, you have an actual motorcycle fight between Dougray Scott and Tom Cruise. And then in Rogue Nation, it's the Ilsa Cruise chase.
She was moving. She was moving in that motorcycle chase.
That chase is so fast. And when those knees get close to the ground, you feel it in Rogue Nation. When those knees graze, you're like, that's skin off. That's like, it's not face off, it's skin off on the knee.
No, I felt it in Fallout when she was going through the buildings and the pillars and in between all the cars. And normally when a henchman or someone chasing you on a motorcycle, it always ends up badly for the henchman on the motorcycle, but not for Ilsa Faust. She had it under control. Terrible shot, but great on a motorcycle.
Never be a motorcycle henchman. John Wick, like all these movies, they have the villainess. Like if you're on a motorcycle and you're a henchman, you're dead. But Mile 22 had a successful motorcycle henchman, and it kind of annoyed me because now I can't use that bit anymore because I'm always thinking about Mile 22 in the back of my brain.
Well, just don't bring it up because no one has seen that movie.
Yeah, imagine that. You're in a conversation, right? You're at Oxford. You're at a big swanky party. Everyone's drinking scotch. There's a big, everyone has nice tweed coats. You're standing around, very stuffy library, and you're discussing motorcycle fights, in films. And just one of the professors goes, "Actually, Mark, Mile 22, starring Iko Uwais and Mark Wahlberg, had an excellent motorcycle henchman." I just be like, damn it, Donnie!
You got me.
Damn it, Donnie! You humanities professors are the worst!
Just run out the building.
I would
just end the party right now.
I'd throw my scotch in his face, and then I'd throw my glass in his face, and then I'd just give him like a quick gut shot and walk out. I have tenure,
would you give
so
the
I'm
gut
fine.
shot, or would you just tip the hat to him? It's like, well played, sir. Well played.
No, he knows what he's doing. He's been waiting for this.
Just waiting for that one moment where you can call someone out about a motorcycle fight.
Yeah, he knows that since I started teaching there, that motorcycle bits were my thing. And so he's been watching all of them that he can. And he finally got a hold of Mile 22 because it's on Netflix right now. It was trending. And he's actually an Iko Uwais fan who's amazing. And while watching, probably like in a chair, like looking all critical, taking notes, he probably fast forwards through them just for the motorcycle scenes. And he sees it and he's like, I got him.
Well, then you one-up him and ask him about jet ski action sequences, which no one on Earth knows more about jet ski action sequences than Mark Hoffmeyer. So you just raise the bar and challenge him on a whole new plane.
Yeah. No, you know what? I guess if I threw whiskey in his face, that would be admitting defeat. So I would just be like, oh, you're right about that. However, they weren't directly chasing them, and they weren't trying to wipe them out in Mile 22. They were just trying to put a bomb on their car. That was their sole mission. So they weren't trying to get on the car. They weren't trying to Indiana Jones them. They just wanted to slap some gooey stuff on their car and blow it up. So
you had a loophole there. You can pivot out of that.
And I'll bet you know what I'm talking about, Donnie. Like, you're cheating. And then he'll kind of like sulk away. I'm like, yeah, that's right. And I'm knowing he got me, but I'm ready for it. So
well played.
Yeah.
Now we're ready in case that situation ever comes up. But I have to ask you, now that we talked about jet skis, could Tom Cruise pull off an effective jet ski action sequence in an upcoming Mission Impossible movie?
No, absolutely.
Dude, if anyone could pull off a jet ski action sequence, it is Tom Cruise. The biggest practical stunt movie in the world was Fallout.
But here's the thing.
In order to top it, you have to go jet skis or boats.
I mean, Face Off has that done, right? Face Off owns the boat chase. So the thing is, on a jet ski, he would have to be chasing somebody through, say, Venice, right? He couldn't just be going down a random canal, because that's a straight line. No one wants to see a straight line jet ski chase. So you need somewhere with like you need somewhere with landmines going off or
it could
something.
Be a river. You could go down a river, because then you have changing scenery,
mangroves, stuff like that. I just don't want to see Tom Cruise in mangroves. To be honest, I don't want a mangrove chase with Tom Cruise.
It could be the Everglades.
Man, you know what? If he did one in a lazy river in Dubai, that's what I would want to see.
Maybe around those Palm Islands.
Yes.
Those islands just all around there in Dubai. I could see that.
He's not running though. That's the problem. And I know he doesn't have to run in all of his movies, But see, I just can't. No one's ever looked cool in a jet ski, right? The best jet ski movies are like and what the Zohan. You don't mess with the Zohan. No, that one's bad. Dwayne Johnson on motorcycles. Dwayne Johnson on jet ski.
Yeah, I think he's just too big for the jet ski.
There's a scene in Hobbs and Shaw.
Looks good.
Yeah. But there's a scene in Hobbs and Shaw where he pulls up on a motorcycle, and I'm like, nah, that doesn't work. Why is he on this thing? What? I felt bad for the motorcycle in this. But yeah, so that's my, I think we got it, man. If I ever get into an argument in Oxford against a humanities professor about motorcycle chases, I'm gold.
Then you pivot to the loophole and then raise the stakes a notch.
Man, that's electric. They will be talking about that for years. Years they'll be talking about it. Oh, man, the Glenfiddich scotch was flowing through everyone's veins.
You're telling your grandkids someday?
Yeah. The atmosphere was rich with mahogany wood and the smell of old books. The taste of 12-year Glenfiddich was coming from my breath, and as I said that thing to Donnie. Well, that's a book right there.
Well, I tell you what, I feel like I did enough research to write a book about Mission Impossible for preparing for this episode, because you can't just watch Fallout.
There's too much.
You have to watch Fallout like 3 times because it's so loaded with the story and the action, but then I wouldn't be able to talk about it, so I had to go back and remind myself about Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Foss. I had to go back about Jeremy Renner, and so I ended up watching all the Mission Impossible movies to prepare for this episode. Well, except for Mission Impossible 2, because I mean you really don't need to watch Mission Impossible 2, but I watched all the other movies to prepare for this, so I feel like I could write a book on Mission Impossible or take on a professor at Oxford.
There's too much. I listened to the 2 commentaries on the Blu-ray. I watched all the extras. There's what feels like a 7-hour interview with McQuarrie and Empire. I mean, there is just endless stuff out there about this movie. And to be honest, this movie, well, Tom Cruise has been really good for me, by the way. I think I wrote my most read article ever with the Tom Cruise run-in when Fallout came out.
When he retweeted you.
Yeah, and then he tweeted
about how Edge of Tomorrow was the blockbuster of summer, and that was just too juicy to not have some studio or PR person retweet on behalf of Tom Cruise.
He's been good to me. He retweeted my Edge of Tomorrow review, and then he called my Tom Cruise running data for Rotten Tomatoes really cool. And that was everywhere. Everyone shared that. They made a video for it that got millions of views. So Tom Cruise has no idea who I am, but his running has been really good to me.
Analyzed the number of miles he ran in this movie, I saw it on the Rotten Tomatoes interview, and his eyes lit up, but then he immediately pivoted. Like he thought it was cool, but not that impressed. He's like, okay, you had the on-screen time, but you didn't calculate my 50 takes in order to get this one.
Oh man. So Eric Davis did that interview. That'd be so funny. He's like, actually, this is what Mark Hoffmeyer got. And he's like, he was on set every day with the pen and paper, just reading.
You'll show him.
And
I agree. There is so much in this movie. You ever go to an art museum and you're feeling really good, you're feeling cultured for the first 45 minutes, and then you get completely saturated?
Yeah.
Like you lose that feeling of awe, and then it's like, okay, it's just another art piece after an hour. Just only so much your brain can process. That's what Fallout kind of feels like. I mean, there were like 10 distinctly independent action sequences in this, like the botched plutonium deal, the skydiving, bathroom fight, club fight, the vision of the extraction of Solomon Lane, the actual extraction, motorcycle getaway, Rebecca Ferguson shooting at them, the helicopter chase, and the final fight on the rock. There were 10 different actual action sequences in this movie. I mean, that is as rich and as big of a movie as I've ever seen.
And just listening to all the interviews that Cruise and McQuarrie did, they wanted to make this they wanted to give audiences their spectacle. They wanted them to have, like they worked tirelessly to make this as, so this movie made $791 million worldwide. It has a 7.7 on IMDb, which is huge, and a 97% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 88% audience score. So I remember walking out of this movie and going, this should have been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. I said that. I was like, this should have been, no. And it could have fit. They didn't pick 10 movies. Toss Fallout in there. It deserves it. But this is going to sound crazy, Eric. The more I watch this movie, the lower it falls on my favorite Mission Impossible list.
Wow.
And what's weird about that is you're going to think I'm crazy. The audience is going to think I'm crazy. My friends at Oxford are going to think I'm crazy. But, it's just, they're going to use it against me. I know it's going to happen. But what gets me is, like, in the first Mission Impossible, right? Brian De Palma directed it. It's very noir, very drenched in kind of like
it's
shadows
dark.
And dark and
they had weird camera angles.
Weird,
like they would shoot a lot from the top and from underneath, and they did the really slow panning like you'd expect in a 70s movie. It was a very odd movie.
Yeah, De Palma's a maniac, and so he just shot it like a maniac, and I love it. But I gotta tell you, like that scene where he's hanging from a wire, and he catches his one drop of sweat, and the knife falls, and there's a rat. Now that was meticulously planned. It was not expensive. No one's life was in danger. But in that moment, the entire audience, I felt, was hanging there with Ethan Hunt. And that drop of sweat, I couldn't catch I remember still being stressed out from that scene. And then you go to like Mission Impossible 3, where, I mean, every scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman. And when Kerry Russell dies.
Oh, with the pill that she was in her brain.
And she had such a great intro. She was a badass, right? And I just went, and then you have to wake him up, like the defibrillator and all that. And then in Ghost Protocol, which I think is the best moment, is when he's hanging off that building. And which with his gloves, and then a glove stops working. You're hanging there with him. You almost feel, they shot in IMAX, you feel stressed. Like, just, you're up there with him. And as much as I loved Fallout, I mean, this is an action spectacle that I said should have been nominated for Best Picture, but maybe I've been spending too much time with it. And like you said, this beautiful piece of art that was awe-inspiring is now like, I see it every day. Maybe I need a break from it to watch it again, but there's no moments in this film where I'm thinking, like, when my heart is in my chest. Like, I love the helicopter bit, but it never, like, since it's in a helicopter, you know how controlled it is, I guess. And I know the Ghost Protocol thing was controlled, but he was actually hanging on the building. But I never felt in this movie, I never held my breath. But when I watched the action, I was like, yeah. But I never was so invested in it that a drop of sweat or a well-timed eye bomb on Kerry Russell, or climbing on a building where you're just, like, you're so, like, tense and it catches you by surprise. I never got that from this movie. And you're going to think I'm insane. Like, so saying that this is, like, one of my least favorite Mission Impossible movies is saying, like, it's like comparing filet mignon to the next porterhouse. Like, I love them both. Or, like, comparing, I don't know, something like a pretentious IPA to another pretentious IPA that I love. They're all great. But this Fallout...
It makes sense. I think you just put a higher value on suspense over the magnitude of the stunts. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think you can enjoy the big stunts, or you can enjoy how they really stretch and play with you more. Some of my favorite scenes in the Mission Impossible franchise is the scenes where there's no noise, when it's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like the part in the hallway in Ghost Protocol where they have the screen up and you can't say a word. They're going soft, and it lasted about 15 minutes when they would try and distract the guard with the noise.
Mm-hmm.
That one was stressful in Ghost Protocol, even though it wasn't him hanging off a building or in a helicopter, but just the situation and the silence. Like him hanging on a rope, that was silence the whole time. I mean, you had Luther in his ear a little bit. You had Jean Reno up top, but that was, for the most part, that was quiet. So it's really amazing how the quiet and no sound can be more stressful than having the actual music in there. But yeah, I agree. I think that's great. That's a good point in how the stress, depends on if you like suspense or you like big. And one thing I think they do a good job at, but I think it's a staple of the Mission Impossible franchise, that they add that stress and that suspense in the action scenes, is that Tom Cruise never gets it on the first try. All right, let's talk Fallout for a second. He's climbing up the rope at the end on the helicopter and he falls down. On Ghost Protocol, when he's climbing on the outside of the Burj Khalifa,